Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with last night's edition of NXT featuring matches recorded February 13th at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. In the main event, Lyra Valkyria successfully defended the NXT Women's title against Lash Legend. Valkyria had been defending her title against Shotzi, but the match was abruptly stopped due to a knee injury sustained by Shotzi while executing a DDT on the ring apron. Legend had also been in action earlier in the show, defeating Kalani Jordan. In the opening match, Obafemi retained the NXT North American Championship against Lexis King. The match marked King's second challenge for the title, following his match last month against then-champion Dragon Lee. Also on the show, Chase U became the number one contenders to the NXT Tag Team title with a win over Axiom and Nathan Frazier. In other results, Jayce Jane beat Ariana Grace, Josh Briggs defeated Brooks Jensen, and Roxanne Perez topped Bren Sinclair. In ratings news, last Friday's episode of SmackDown was down slightly in total viewership, although its 18 to 49-year-old demographic rating held steady according to WrestleNomics. The show brought in 2.555 million viewers to Fox, in line with the previous week's 2.578 million, and the 18 to 49 rating was a 0.75 for the second week in a row. Rampage was down in viewership last Friday due in part to being preempted to 7 p.m. due to the NBA All-Star Weekend programming on TNT. The episode drew a total audience of 300,000 according to WrestleNomics. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic was a 0.14. In injury news, Shotzi will need to miss 9 months of action according to a social media post put out yesterday by the WWE star. Shotzi also confirmed that the injury was a torn ACL and posted a video of herself in a hospital bed. The injury was sustained during her NXT match with Lyra Valkyria, which took place last week but was broadcast last night. And finally, in TNA news, former AEW producer and trainer Ace Steel revealed yesterday that he's been working with TNA in a similar capacity. During an interview on the Two Man Power Trip podcast, Steel mentioned that he had started working backstage for TNA at Bound for Glory last October. Steel was officially released by AEW earlier in 2023 after fallout from 2022's all-out locker room brawl incident in which he was alleged to be involved. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.